It being
No one.
7:03, I call the meeting of the monthly meeting of the Library Trustees to order. This meeting was duly noticed and is pursuant to the governor's orders, being held remotely via Zoom. And we welcome any members of the public who are participating in the meeting today. And we will have, before the meeting concludes, an opportunity for public participation. So if you are watching the meeting and you have any questions or comments, we will provide you an opportunity at the end of the meeting to do that. Other than the recording that's being conducted by Westwood Media, are there any other recording devices? We thank our friends at Westwood Media for their help in televising and publicizing these meetings. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 14th, 2022 meeting. Have all of my colleagues had an opportunity to review the minutes? Are there any amendments, deletions, revisions, alterations? Seeing none, the chair will accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Masi-Phelps, seconded by trustee Van Au. Call the roll. Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Masi-Phelps.
Aye.
Trustee Ryan.
Aye.
Trustee Van Au.
Aye.
And the chair also votes in the affirmative. So the minutes are unanimously approved. The next item on the agenda is the director's report. And for those members of the public who may not be familiar with our proceedings, the report is always accepted as submitted, but we always afford our library director, Lizzie McGovern, an opportunity to highlight or make any comments or revisions to the report. Lizzie?
Thank you. I just wanted to highlight how well Susie's programs have been taken. The community is wanting more. They're usually related to gardening or flowers or some hands-on activities, and it's really been a blessing throughout the pandemic. And now that we're in person, the only thing we've heard back is we just want more. So we're also going to collaborate with the COA. And as now that the branch is open, one of the things that was really important is that we provide access to programs across our different locations, as well as varying evening programs and Saturday programs. So month to month, there might be a Saturday afternoon at the main library, or the next month, a Wednesday evening at the Wentworth Hall location. So just those little details to look out for more variety of locations and times for programs. The other thing is that Susie is connected to that is 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year, and now I'm lost. We had done a letter of intent for the LSTA Dig In grant. And we tabled that as I went through the interim director phase, and we didn't take on a grant process. So, but we had a lot of the same information, and Susie took on that role of filling out the grant, and right now is working with LSTA to do a draft version of that, which would include a community garden, expand the type of program we know that the community is responding to, and work with, different scout groups and different town departments. So I just wanted you all to be aware of that. We haven't submitted it yet, but it's in draft form. And the FY23 budget, it's going to the FinCom. They have a meeting tomorrow night, first public hearing at 6, I think, and then another one March 29th. So it's my first go with the budget process. It's been very informative, but really, really good. I had a meeting with one of the subcommittee members for the FinCom a couple of weeks ago, and it was a really great conversation, asked really good questions. The biggest thing that came out is that our additional hours at the branch and expanding services. So there was a little bit of an increase, which we knew we were going for as we are open more at the branch. So that's basically the big thing, but I will be attending that public hearing tomorrow night. And the 2 notices that I accidentally put on the email to you all for the materials for this meeting was Paul and I attended the select board meeting on February 28th. And they had made an action to approve for us to move forward with the Poet Laureate initiative by establishing a selection committee would be the first thing by the end of March. So Paul, thank you so much for coming. He's very eloquent in support of representing the 21st Century Fund, supporting it, and the trustees. And so I'm looking forward to that. I mentioned it to the friends, and I already had one of the friends reach out saying that she would love to be involved in some way. So the next few weeks, I will be reaching out to someone from the Cultural Council, the schools, and trying to get some members together so we can get that process started.
Are you looking for a trustee to serve on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Either a trustee or depending on we have a lot of projects coming up, but depending on a trustee or I think what we initially wrote was that a trustee representative or a library staff member, depending on people's interest and availability. And now I have a friend of the library who's interested, so that's good too.
Are any of my colleagues interested in being part of the selection committee? If not, we could delegate it to the library staff, but I would like to afford the board an opportunity to.
Mary Beth's not here. We can, she
She's-
volunteered.
Mary Beth, yeah, I'm sure she's working on a lot of things.
I know she is.
But trustee Cole or trustee Van Hour, trustee Ryan? If not, we can certainly have Lizzie designate somebody from the library staff. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Would it entail a lot of meetings or what? You don't know yet?
I don't know yet. I hopefully it will be a very simple process. I think one meeting will be just about creating, we already have some guidelines, so it would just be establishing guidelines of what we're, and then reviewing the submissions, basically.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. I just want to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
that's perfect. Thank you, Maria.
Thank
But
you
that's
for-
something you need done by the end of March, correct?
I need the
the-
selection
the
committee.
committee-
Oh, the
established.
selection committee got it.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
We told the selectmen that we would do our best to have the committee in place at the end of March. And then I think we set June as a target date for when we
I think
want to
so.
make a recommendation to the selectmen. Obviously, the trustees will discuss it. We'll want to have the 21st century, have some, get advised on it because they're providing the stipend. But at the end of the day, it's the selectmen who will be making the
We'll
appointment.
point it. Yeah.
So thank you, trustee Ryan. Any questions or comments on the director's report?
Can I say that if you could encourage Susie to have more programs? I think there are a lot of people who are interested who get shut out. And
Yeah.
I think I spoke to you about this before, but I know it's a lot, but it's very popular.
Yeah.
And no, that's all. I just,
Thank you. Yeah, we're in the works of figuring out registration and more times.
Did you want to say
My
something?
question about Susie, I know that she did her grant on community garden. Is she aware of the community garden that's at the Sheehan School? I just don't know how well it's utilized. It's right on the corner of 109 and Pond Street.
point.
She might want to just go check it out, or maybe reach out to Kristen Evans, who's the principal there, who's lovely. It's a lovely, someone takes care of it, but it's just, I don't think it's being utilized enough.
That's a great connection for our grant. So I will
And
definitely.
she might even want to do a program there.
Mhm.
It's right on High Street.
Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Masi-Phelps.
Yeah, yep. Lizzie, I saw in your report that you had the note about masks no longer being required. And I know a lot has changed in the last few weeks from, must
know.
wear 95 KN95 to, it's time to get on. And I think we're all seeing changes in work and the grocery store and everything. So I'm wondering what your observations are so far. Are there issues? Is everybody cheering? Are there things that you need the trustees to know or to help with?
Thanks, Mary. That's a really good question. I think most people were cheering. The first day staff was like, can I take this off? And I was like, yeah, technically you can. So staff still chooses to wear them. And most of the time, if they're out on the desk, I know that especially in children's, Christy was making sure she had one available. So if someone came, it was almost back to the summer where we had them. So if someone was wearing one, we would put one on when we interacted. But most of the time, no, people come in and especially the kids, because now they don't wear them at school. So they don't even have them on them. They just walk in the doors. So no, we have not had any pushback or people upset. It seems to go back to the summer where some people are wearing them and some people are not.
Yep. We certainly appreciate, Paul, if I could just say, I think I would speak for the trustees, but, very much appreciate the staff's flexibility and, things are certainly changing all over. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Nice segue to the next item on our agenda, which is the COVID-19 update.
Which is the update is basically that masks are no longer required of municipal buildings. The Board of Health had I think it started in December, or maybe January, where they required masks for all municipal buildings, and that expired February 27th. And they decided, based on the numbers, the cases had come way down in Westwood, to not renew that. So it just naturally flew to match with what the school's decision was as well. So since then, we have signs changed that just say if you are immunocompromised or unvaccinated, the suggestion is still that you should wear a mask for your safety, but we are not requiring them. We still have, masks on hand in the back if someone asks for them. And we still have extra wipes around, just because it's more people are now in the habit of wiping down things after they've used them, computers and stuff. So we're still keeping up with that, but no, there's a lot less tension.
And you're still doing some degree of social distancing, or is that?
Yeah, so I was asking Joan Courtney Murray, the head of HR, if we still have cases, because the Board of Health is no longer, they're not going to contact trace. I think there's a digital way that people can opt into that if something happens in their home or, for Westwood. But I asked, okay, so if somebody, back in December, if somebody in the household, we had a whole protocol, there's no protocols in place. So the protocol is the staff member should wear a mask and should socially distance, just as now almost like, it's not like a set protocol where you have to quarantine if you're with somebody. It's very much back to, just being, I don't want to say common sense because that's some food, but, being safe at work, but people can still return to work.
Right. Okay. Any comments, questions on COVID-19? Hopefully it will soon disappear as a monthly item on the agenda.
Hopefully soon we'll all be in Florida with Maria.
But until such time, we will continue to make sure we stay updated, and that we continue to follow any and all recommendations that the town and the Board of Health make.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, staffing update. Anything you
I don't
want?
have a staffing update.
A staffing update. Okay.
Yes, so we're good. Yeah, that was quick.
Yep. Islington Branch Library.
Oh, I'm very
You
happy.
talked about it in your report.
Mhm.
So what do you
Yes.
want?
The feedback has been extremely positive. The first 2 weeks, I haven't checked last week's numbers, but we had a little clicker just to count everybody who enters the library. And we had 50 to 75 visitors a day the first week. A lot of people just discover who live in the area who can walk to the branch. I've heard that numerous times of, I can walk to a library. And I tell them, I'm like, that's my dream. Like, I love that they live close to a library. So walking to their neighborhood library just feels like the world is writing itself. So I've heard that the business center chairs, the computer chairs, are the most comfortable chairs. They actually want them all for the main library as well, because we have these wooden chairs at our desks at the main library, but we have very nice, comfortable chairs. So I've worked there, usually I'm on Thursdays, and I've seen not a lot, but each week there's always an adult who comes in and settles in the business center, either using their laptop, one of the computers, and coffee and doing work. So, and with those glass doors, we can, shut them if there's a lot of activity. The other benefit that we did see that is happening is, so Thursdays is another example. Early Childhood does 2 different programs back to back in the morning, and we get a group of families coming up after the first one, coloring, checking out books, getting library cards, and then a second group coming up. So even though, we've always collaborated with Early Childhood for programs and such, but even though the librarian's not down there, part of their program is to visit the library. We collaborated with them last year, 2 years ago. The Friends helped fund the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program. So when they sign up through Stack, they get a little tote with a free book and information on how to do it. And we've been handing them out at the main library, of course. So I was talking to Janet last week, and she's like, oh my God, that's perfect. I'm going to tell my groups to go sign up. So it's a natural connection where now they're going to go upstairs and get your bag. So I'm really excited for that. So the programs that have been happening that are not necessarily library are still, like we thought, getting a lot of foot traffic and new library cards for people. So that's been good. Everything has just been happy. And I think, it's part of our plan is to, as I said, assess the space and make sure that we are having programs there and just keep our services up for that, for the space that we have there. And I think one thing that was brought up, I think with Mary Beth, or maybe Mary, when we visited, was the business center has this beautiful blank canvas white wall right above the computers. So I know there was talk of, the murals that the artist did for the children's area, or probably one of the most commented on things in that space. And we would like to, I know we talked about making the business center something a little bit more special. So it's something that I was going to look into and probably bring back to the 21st Century Fund and to the trustees with ideas, just to make that space a little bit unique and special and inviting, because it's this great big white wall of potential.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay, good.
All that you said is music to our ears.
Yes.
Particularly the fact that people are really embracing it and using it as an asset. Any questions or comments on the branch? No. Okay, thank you. Yes, trustee Ryan.
That, Maureen and myself, Jessica, and Mary Beth Pearsons was there.
Mhm.
I just thought with where Mary Masi-Phelps and Mary Beth both worked so hard, they should have asked for a representative from the Board of Trustees to step
Oh,
up
right.
and cut it. I just, just as maybe in July they will, but
Yeah,
Mary,
I was
worked
gonna
so
bring that up.
hard on it, so did Mary Beth. I just thought it would have been a nice gesture.
I thank you, Maria. I was gonna mention that for new business, but since it's brought up now, when the dedication ceremony, so they have to put a plaque to the building. Well, we did the ribbon cutting, but we will plan a bigger open house dedication ceremony. So I'm gonna meet with Chris tomorrow. And so I was wondering if it makes sense, if it's something informal, you just want me to have the trustees email the trustees, or is there somebody on the board that would like to actually be a part of maybe that planning, or know it, like the point person? I'm happy to be that point person, but I wasn't sure how this is done in the past, since it is a unique building with multiple
think-
groups.
Why don't you stay in the point person and just keep
Okay.
us
Yeah.
involved? That way, if we are all going to talk about it, we'd have to have a meeting,
Oh, right.
a committee meeting, but you can communicate to us individually on it. So.
Yeah, so the trustees would definitely be part of the dedication. Thank you,
we
Maria.
very much enjoy that. Anything else on the Islington branch? No. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the strategic plan update. Trustee Masi-Phelps, trustee Van Al, anything to report?
I think we're going to lob this one over to Lizzie, because I know
Okay,
they've been working
Lizzie?
hard. The way our monthly meetings go, I don't think we've actually met since the last trustee
Yeah.
meeting.
Great.
I like ships of the night.
What do you-
So we are really, really busy. We are 90% of the research plans that we had have been done. We are probably focusing on the two biggest things that we're working on, which is doing focus groups. So we're planning most of those for Zoom. We did a lot of research about, where the demographics that we were really trying to get specific information of why, why would you want to see it at your library in those conversations. And so we've narrowed down the categories to 4 groups. So 1, non-library users, 1, Chinese American community members. Westwood has had a growth of over 11% of that community. Newcomers to Westwood, and specifically men over the age of 18. So these sessions are starting to be scheduled. We do have a representative from the Westwood Chinese School who's been instrumental in connecting us with members who are willing to come and talk to the library, which is great. So that one we're good, but we're still looking for volunteers to do maybe a 45-minute Zoom. So I'm sending it out. If anybody has a new neighbor to town that you think that might willingly participate in one of these sessions, if you just let me know, I'm happy to, or I'll send you all the link to that. We have a volunteer form that just categorized, so we have all the names. That's one thing that we're doing. So we've been putting that out. I've put out a sign in the Westwood Wire for the volunteer groups. I've done Roach Brothers, Starbucks, places that maybe non-library users would go. So we're doing that. But the one thing that I'm working very closely with Stacey on, and Christy has as well, and a few others, is the community-wide survey, which is like the bread and butter of our research. So we're in draft 2 of it. We're meeting tomorrow to really finalize that draft. And then we want to have staff, and I'm going to send it to you as well, to take it and test it, try to break it. We want to make sure that the data comes out the way we want, and that things are not, wonky before we really push out the link. At the same time, I have a large group of staff who are on our communications and recruitment team, and they already have a list of where we're going to put it out, not just social media, send it to the town, the town outlets, Westwood Media. So, and because I think we compared it the 2019 comprehensive plan survey that they had out for a month, and I think they ended up getting 811 responses, which is great. 5% of the population is apparently really good return for that. So we're going to aim for that, if not 1,000 responses. That's my goal. But so it might take multiple pushes. So we will be seeing it. I'll ask everyone to, if you see it on your Facebook, to share it to any groups you're a part of, send it out. So that's imminent. So that's basically what we're working on right now. So we're very busy, but focus groups and the survey. And as I said, if there's anybody who that would be willing to take part in a focus group that fits into those categories, please let me know. Hi, Jess. Sorry.
Trustee
Could you just send that out? Is that the poster with the QR code on it?
Yes, that one
You
is.
could just send it to all of us, because
Perfect.
I know I probably have it somewhere, but if you could just resend it, that'd be great, because I definitely have a new neighbor, and I know a bunch of men over the age of 18.
Do you? Make sure you write that.
Closer to 18 or closer to the back? nine?
Closer to the way above 18. Beyond college.
As they say in golf, the back nine.
Yes, the back nine for sure.
All right, thank you, Lizzie.
Thank you.
Trustee Van Al, Trustee Masi-Phelps, anything to add?
No,
All right, thank you. For those, this, as we've said it, since this process has started, it's an ongoing process. And we welcome community participation. Anybody who's attending the meeting or watching the meeting later who would like to be part of the survey or find out about the strategic process, planning process, please feel free to contact Lizzie. Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is our policy review that we've been undertaking since the beginning of the year. And for the past couple of meetings, we have been considering revising, finalizing the collection development policy. I did, at Lizzie's suggestion, at my suggestion further, and Trustee Masi-Phelps and others, we asked the town council to look at that policy and the naming policy. And he reported back that he thought they were sound and thought they should be approved, recommended they be approved. And so at this point, is there any discussion on the further discussion on the collection development policy?
I thought it was well done. I read them all a couple times and
Yep.
fine.
I didn't change anything from the in content of the collection development since last time, but Mary Beth did a fine copy edit for me, and so that's why it's now in perfect shape. Period.
Already, I believe, is the term they use. Yes. Is there, the chair will accept the motion to adopt the collection development policy as set forth in the draft.
I
Make a motion.
Trustee Van Al moves that the Board of Trustees adopt the policy as set forth in the draft, seconded by Trustee Ryan. Any further discussion? I will call the roll. Trustee Cole,
Aye.
Trustee Masi-Phelps,
Aye.
Trustee Ryan,
Aye.
Trustee Van Al,
Aye.
and the chair also votes in the affirmative. The policy is unanimously approved. And so we can now go into the policy manuals that we have for the library. And if you will make copies of it available at the circulation desk for anybody who'd like to read it or take a look at it.
Yes, and I will add it to our website as well.
And add it to the website. Great, and then thank you all, my colleagues and your staff, Lizzie, for all their work on it.
Thank you.
Good policy.
Yes, it is a good policy. The other policy that we first had been considering at our last meeting was the naming policy. And I also, through Lizzie, asked town council to review that policy. And I don't think he had any changes. He just was reminding us in all our policies and naming policies to be mindful of conflict of interest and appearances of conflict of interest. And since we've all this month been completing the conflict of interest training, I know that's in our mind. What I would suggest is that we follow the same procedure that we did with the collection development policy, which is now that we've had town council look at it, are there any other suggestions and revisions that we want to make? What I would propose we do is that we talk about somewhat this evening and then put it over for next month's meeting as we had with the collection meeting, so that we do it over the course of 3 meetings, so any members of the public who want to inform themselves of it have an opportunity to do so. Did we have any? Yeah, Trustee Masi-Phelps.
Yeah, Paul, I'll just note for the, for the rest of the trustees that we did, before we sent it to town council, we did remove the reference to special consideration for the fund and the front, for the fund, just because I think we have a good idea of, I think the policy could stand well without it. And, the way it was, originally intended, suggestions certainly could come from, from other places, and it really is at the discretion of the trustees. And we felt it was appropriate just to be silent on that based on the feedback from last meeting. So that was, that change was made before it went to town council.
Right, so town council has reviewed the policy as
I noticed that, and I thought the language is good.
so without, is anybody object if we just can put it over for next month so that we have another opportunity to look it over? And also trustee persons who has been instrumental in moving this particular
Right.
policy would have an opportunity to participate. So Lizzie, will you please put it on the agenda for next month's meeting?
Yes.
And my intent at that meeting would be to have someone move to adopt it,
Okay.
pending further discussion. The next item on the agenda is our update from the Friends of the Public Library. And Trustee Ryan.
It was a very busy, an hour and a half meeting. They're a great group. Unfortunately, Meg McCarthy, and I forget the hyphenation name, is resigning from the board, which I was disappointed. She's such a nice, vibrant, energetic person. But so they did a lot of discussion on whether we should have a book fair or not, whether we should have, pop-up book fairs. Should we go to a bin type thing? I think they're going to go to 2 bins without our name on it. Let Lizzie help me out.
Yeah, sure. No, it's a big thing on the agenda was the book sales. Since if you guys remember the old library, they had probably half of the size of the basement as storage. And ever since they moved into the new building, they do have a room, but it's half the size. So I think it's kind of been kicking the can down the road in terms of trying to duplicate the exact way they did book sales in the old library to, without the space and a lot of effort. And as the book sale team has changed over the years, for the last 2 years, it's only been 2 members doing a lot of that and organizing volunteers. So there was a conversation of, as we see other libraries doing more variety of things like, books back, $5 for a bag here, or, online different aspects of, Amazon Smile, all of that, which our friends do. They were trying to say, is this really the best way that we're putting just the 2 a year, smaller ones? So that was kind of open and discussion. And someone brought up the Boston-based Bay State Books, which if you see them, they have these big bins. So when people donate books to them, they don't go into landfills. And I think you get a percentage of by pound. So just to offset the volume that we get, or what to do with books as we after book sales. So we do have a team who makes sure we send them to prisons and to local schools, and when they're in the best fit, the books are not destroyed, So they're just trying to think of, do we do a balance of both? And I think they came forward moving, okay, well, let's start with 2 bins just so we have a place for the books that we weren't able to sell, but we still get something back from that, and they're not going to landfills. And then, think ahead if we want to do smaller pop-up book sales throughout the year. So I think they're in that process of getting a new team together to kind of manage that. It's a lot of work doing the book sales.
That's
So
a lot of man hours for.
yes.
And I also
Huge
brought up. Go ahead.
No, it's just a huge undertaking of time for the people that were doing it on too few, not enough people being in charge, basically.
Yeah.
We were going to try to go to a team approach.
Yes.
But they also, I brought up the point though, that I thought that at least a few pop-ups, they just build a lot of community. People love to see book
Yeah.
book fairs. It's kind of an ongoing, thing that we have at the Westwood Library, and people love to come. And it's just, I think people do like to be involved, and if it is a lot of work for the people in charge, but I met so many wonderful volunteers, and I started going in and going through, deciding it's so hard to throw a book away when the outdated ones. I had a hard time with that, but I just met wonderful people there, and I've told a few people, and they've come. So I think they're going to try a balance.
Yeah.
For now, a balance of maybe some pop-up book fairs, or maybe one with the bins, and just to kind of spread out the work.
Mm.
They're a great group. Aren't they amazing, Lizzie? They have so many ideas.
They accomplish a lot.
Yeah, they nixed the cookbook idea, which was, I think, a good idea.
Very fundraising ideas. It's definitely a great time to, as they're in transition, to also, consider bringing, talking to the fund and making sure that as we plan the future together, fundraising and presence, it's kind of a good time as things are changing and opening up. One thing they did bring up was they have supported, it was something that was started, I think through J. Courtney Sullivan, was an author that visited and connects these little known libraries who do not have as much funding or support to libraries that do, or friends groups. And so this was something that Tricia was steered, so I'm just kind of catching up, but it was this library in, and I don't remember if it was Iowa.
I think
Oh,
it's
it's
Iowa.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the friends have been supporting them with books, curated books, donations. And there was discussion of, to continue to do that as we think about, having books for the community and vice versa. And, I just had brought up, if they're considered a sister library, that's something that just not be open about, but have on the website and really talk about, but I don't know that process. And I think after they just look through the bylaws, it's something that the library will have to establish as this is our sister library, and then the friends would support that. I right now have zero clue how that is brought about, but it's definitely would have to be approved by the trustees and look into. I don't know if anybody if that's ever been brought up before, of having I understand like towns have sister towns, but what the process of that is.
We need a policy.
Yeah. Well, reach out to we probably just have to designate them somehow as a system. Why don't you reach out to the Mass Library Commission?
Okay.
Yeah.
If they have any, ways that's been done in the past.
Okay.
And we can certainly, if you have, information and you want to report back to us at the next meeting, we can certainly put it on the agenda and discuss it. Sounds like a great idea.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Excuse me, Paul.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they've been doing this library once a month. They send books to Bagley, right?
Yes.
Small,
Yeah.
but they want only new books. They want new or very, very gently used books, and only no less than 3 years, no more than 3 years old. And they've been pulling apart books that maybe would sell in our library. So there was discussion about that. Go ahead.
It looked like a pretty vigorous discussion about that, and in terms of possibly making a change around that. So I think, to Lizzie's point, if we find out if that's possible, but I think, sounded like they were pretty being matter of fact about it, checking their own bylaws and so forth. And because they pay for the postage for the books to go. And even though it's, a little less because of the group, it's still a cost that some people felt should be spent on our own library. So there might be a way to support them. They were going to look into that. I think if you're looking at, possibilities, Lizzie, that's something we could talk about in the future. I also just wanted to say, they did a lot of research about these bins and other towns. I believe Tina was responsible for a lot of that, and finding out, what the other towns make. Some of them have, 2 bins, some of them have more than that. And part of the discussion was, it is, they're, I think it was Lincoln that, they pulled in $8,000 annually from the bins, from people donating their books to the bins, and then Bay State giving their friends group money for that. And Cohasset only had one bin and made $2,000. So I think their point is that it's a lot less manpower. And I don't think it means that they're going to completely, give up. I think there was a lot of conversation about the pop-ups, but I think they also have a lot in that room that they want to deal with first and then maybe have more of a fresh start. So we shall see.
On the whole, what we were just talking about too, in terms of the sister library and all that, why don't we do this, Lizzie? See, gather some information. And then when we go forward and on a discussion of it, I would suggest we invite somebody from the Friends
Yeah.
to outline for us the nature and scope of what they do and, what, if any, support we can be of that. I don't know if it could be financial, but if there's, but if we're gonna do that, why don't we do it in conjunction with the Friends and understand the nature and scope of what they do.
Yeah.
Certainly
Right.
within our mission to further lifelong learning, to
Right.
do something like that. Okay, anything else on the Friends?
Yeah.
Yes, Trustee Cole.
You guys know how they did at their pop-up on March 5th? Are they still very successful or?
Yeah, they made $2,200
Nice,
that
nice.
Saturday.
6
Great.
hours.
Yeah.
Right. And again, we always are very grateful to the Friends for all they do for
Oh,
us
yeah.
programming, and we're very lucky to have them, as we are to have the next item on the agenda, which is the 21st Century Fund update.
Yeah, the 21st Century Fund has not met since our last meeting. We're due to meet in April. Once the naming policy is passed, obviously that will engender further activity as we look to come up with some naming opportunities. We've had some difficulty. We do want to engage a consultant to advise us on some of our long-term fundraising and tax requirements. And we've had difficulty engaging the consultant that we wanted to. Mary Beth has been working on that. So we don't have that, but we haven't been able to actually have a conversation with that person. So we're still pursuing that, but looking into some other options as well. Hope to have more to report next month.
Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of acceptances and expenditures as outlined in the report that was submitted to the trustees. Any comments or questions on the acceptances and expenditures? Hearing none, the chair will accept a motion to approve the acceptances expenditures as detailed on the report made by trustee Masi-Phelps. Is there a second? Second by trustee Ryan. I'll call the roll. Trustee Cole,
Aye.
trustee Masi-Phelps,
Aye.
trustee Ryan,
Aye.
trustee Van Al.
Aye.
Chair also votes aye, approved unanimously, and I will.
We get a
The
little-
yellow folder. New business. There's I did have an item of new business, which is over the past couple of months, I've had the opportunity to be out talking to people in Westwood and talk to hundreds of people. And I just want to say to my colleagues and to you, Lizzie, overwhelming positive feedback on the library and its importance to the community, particularly during the COVID pandemic. Had a lot of people told me it was one of their lifelines. I had a number of young parents with their kids tell me how much they enjoy the children's room and the programming. So kudos to you and to your staff, and please convey to staff. Huh?
I'm getting like teary-eyed hearing that.
Please convey to your staff again how stellar they performed, particularly over the past 2 years. And for a lot of people told me how important it was during this pandemic that the library gave them the electronic books and the deliveries to the houses and that sort of thing. So so kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
And the other item I have is as we were participating in a selectmen's meeting, we were reminded that this is the 125th anniversary of the town of Westwood this year. which makes sense because my son was about 3 months old when I took him to the parade, and he's going to be 5 in August. Um, So, so Westwood Day is, they moved it. I can't remember the date that they moved it to.
September
but-
17th, it's my birthday, so I remember it.
And there's going to be a lot of focus at Westwood Day about the sesquicentennial, right, the 125th.
Oh, is that how you say it?
I think that might be
I didn't
150.
know how to say it, so I just was
Yeah,
saying.
the 125th anniversary of the town. And so Lizzie, I would suggest that at some point this year, over the next few months, if you might want to do one of the displays
Oh, yeah.
acknowledging the 125th anniversary, because I'm sure, a lot of the kids would, don't know about it. And maybe if we have some resources or books or things on Westwood history. or
Yes.
Westwood-
Oh, such a-
Anybody, artists from Westwood or something like that, we may want to highlight that.
And the library member is going to be part of a task force so there's like a subcommittee for Westwood Day that will focus on that. And we do have a library representative on there.
So, Trustee Masi-Phelps.
Yeah. Can I just put a bug in everyone's ear, and particularly Lizzie, be thinking how the fund might help with the celebration, commemoration, something.
Oh, great. I will definitely be thinking.
The friends, I'm sure the friends will be wanting to do some things, but yeah.
And I think it will be particularly relevant as we come out of COVID, if
Yeah.
we can do things, community celebration, and have something to have some celebration about. I think it will mean a lot to people, particularly right now. So I just want to make sure that the library and this is part of that.
Definitely.
Trustee Cole?
FYI, a few months ago, maybe, I did see on Westwood Media Center that they have a video from the 100th. I kind of watched it on quick speed, but it's very good. You'll find it.
Yep.
It's on Westwood Media.
Yep. Okay, any other new business?
I don't know if this is the right.
Trustee
Oh,
Cole. Let
sorry.
me ask Trustee Cole first. Yes, Trustee Cole.
Sorry, this is kind of on topic, but has anyone been requesting, I want a new butt?
No, no one has requested I want a new butt.
You know the story about how that book has been popular over the weekend.
No.
Oh, I'll tell you later.
Calling
It
it
was
out.
in the it was a New York Times article. You'll have to look it up.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that, and it wasn't something.
I know, because I was about to be like, oh God.
It's a book. It's a book.
Okay.
Okay.
Lizzie, did you have something?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right spot, but I was wondering about, now that the governor has extended the meetings that they can stay virtual, I think through July. I wanted to make sure that I had these meetings set up so I didn't know what the decision, if we were going to meet in person. I know we talked about meeting at the branch for one of the meetings, since we have
The other board, I think we would follow what the other boards are doing. I know the selectmen was still meeting remotely. My sense would be until, the other boards start, but maybe our first organization meeting in May can be in person, but
I'll just want to make sure I schedule the Zoom account.
unless anybody feels strongly otherwise, but Trustee Masi-Phelps?
No, I do, I think it's good to have consistent practice for the various boards. That said, we are a retail operation.
Right.
And I think that at some point, having that physical presence, I think is meaningful for the trustees as stewards of a retail operation. I think we need to set the tone from the top that it's okay to meet in person.
Right. So I would think, if we wanted to do the organization in May, but if you would just convey that to the selectmen and to Chris and to town and see if there's any,
I know that the school committee is meeting at the library for the next 2 meetings in person, because there was a definite desire from the community. They wanted them
Well,
to meet.
sounds like us doing our meeting in May.
That sounds
Yeah, that might be the time. Yeah, I think we should
sounds good.
definitely consider something. Yeah.
Any other new business? then I would, is there any members of the public? I can't tell. Is there any members of the public who are joining us this evening?
There's a staff person, Karen Kagan,
Oh,
here.
does
Um,
Karen want to say anything?
I just allowed her to talk. Not allowed her, I just permitted.
Karen?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
hi.
You can't see me, can you?
No.
Okay.
I'm busy working here, but I'm cutting things out on the Cricut. But anyway, no, I like watching these. So I'm just, it's nice to hear about all the things you guys do. And I like to keep on top of that.
Well, thank you and the rest of your colleagues for
Oh,
work.
You're
they've done.
welcome. I love working at the library. I've been here a long time.
And you'd feel very good if you had heard the things I've been hearing over the past couple of months from people.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, we do love the library
How
too.
important the library is and what a real asset they view it for the town. So,
Thank you so much for all that you do too.
thank you.
Karen,
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Karen.
You're
Any
welcome.
other- Any other members of the public?
no,
We always invite members of the public to tune in and ask any comments or questions. I have, there being no further business of public participation, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Made by trustee Masi-Phelps. Is there a second? Seconded by trustee Van Al. I'll call the roll. Trustee Van Al.
Aye.
Trustee Masi-Phelps.
Aye.
Trustee Ryan.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. So we are adjourned. And when's the next meeting, Lizzie? Remind me.
the next meeting is, I don't
Monday,
have it.
April 11th.
April
Monday, April 11th,
Yeah.
Monday,
at
April
7
11th,
PM.
7
Yeah.
PM. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Enjoy your evening.